Hi everyone, welcome back to another tutorial on cloud computing series. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about Amazon S3. So Amazon S3 is a pretty useful and one of the fundamental and the most popular services provided by AWS. And I'll talk about everything that you need to know from configuring, creating bucket, uploading and retrieving, defining course policies, and how does that work with Amazon S3 and enabling static web hosting with Amazon S3. So we'll be hosting our one website, accessing files, and then configuring lifecycle policy, like when you want to transition from one type of storage to another after a certain amount of time, right? Those kind of things we will discuss here, and it's going to be pretty useful. So by the end of this video, you will have a pretty good understanding with practical knowledge, and I'll be showing you every single configuration required for you to understand how each configuration and each option works behind the scenes, and we will see how to configure and how does that exactly work. All right, so just head over to Amazon console. I've already logged in and I'm in S3. So if you have not used this before, just go and see Amazon S3 and then click on buckets. And since I've already worked with a couple of buckets here, so I have few ones here, but if you haven't created before, you will not have anything here. All right, I'm in US East 2, so AWS region is US East 2 Ohio. All right, so I'm going to be creating a bucket first, and then we will see everything practically. So I don't want to waste time just explaining things theoretically. All right, so the bucket is like a container for holding your media files or log files or text files or audio, video, images, PDF, whatever it is. Okay, so the bucket is we are gonna be creating a bucket, and we have to define what kind of bucket we are going to create and what kind of configuration we want, right? So here the first configuration is bucket type, and it's a general purpose recommended for most use cases. So if you are confused about something, you can always click on this little info icons. I like this, and this is pretty useful, right? So what does general bucket means, right? So for most of the bucket we will be selecting this, but if you want to go for directory, this is for one zone storage class, right, which provides faster processing. So we'll be sticking with general purpose. And this bucket name, if you click here, so this bucket name has to be unique as per the AWS region or partition to be exact, and it has only three partitions. So if you are in, let's say, commercial regions, and it has to be unique across all accounts in this commercial region, right? So I'm going to be name, and then there are certain rules. For example, it has to be at least 3 in 63. So you cannot just write 22, for example. Here it has to be at least 3 and maximum is 63. So what I can do is my test bucket and then 101. I'm not sure if it is available or not. If it is not, we will edit it, and you can see other rules, right? So I'm not going to explain, just click on this and read it yourself. Okay. And for object ownership, so this is also one of the important settings. So if you want someone else to own this bucket, you will go here, but most of the time you will be sticking with this because you only want this account to own this bucket. Okay, so and then block public access setting for this bucket, right? So do you want this bucket to be publicly accessible? So if you want that, you will just block all public access, right? So we'll be sticking with block all public access, and then we will edit everything like read policies or whatever policy we want through the bucket policy. So just block public access, and we will come here one time in the future if we go for when we go for, let's say, static web hosting, right? I will show you. I will come back here and then enable this, disable this, and then we will see how it works, right? Especially when we go for website hosting. But I will be showing other options first, like enabling other concepts. All right, so and then this bucket versioning. So bucket versioning is important, especially when you want to maintain uh, different version for the same file. Let's say you upload once, and then you have version one, and then next time you upload, it is going to be version two. All right, so for now we will be disabling bucket versioning, and if we ever need, we will come back and then update it. And for tags, this is some kind of metadata. So for example, you can say test bucket for YouTube. Okay. And for encryption option, you can click here and read more about it. So and then what kind of encryption, because the server side encryption is automatically applied to all of these objects that we store in this bucket. But if you want to customize, for example, you want SSE S3 server side encryption with Amazon S3 managed keys, or you want to manage encryption with KMS, right? So you can select this, and then you will have a couple of option to choose KMS key, right? But we just want to stick with SSE S3 so that Amazon automatically manages for us, right? But if you need more custom control, you will go here and then define your own KMS key. Okay, and then here in advanced setting, so object log, this is just don't touch it, and create a bucket. So if we ever need to modify this, we will come back and update it. Okay, so create bucket. All right, so this bucket name already exists, so it has to be unique. Let's say I'll do 1010. I'm not sure if it is not available. 201 test bucket whitey, and then 1011. All right, so it is a pretty weird name, but that's fine. I'm gonna be creating a bucket, and then there we go. So we have successfully created a bucket. And so what we are going to do is 1010. This one is the one that we just created, and there we go. So we have successfully created a bucket. So bucket is like a container for us, and inside of this bucket we can do a lot of things like upload, delete, manage, whatever you want, and everything. So we can control policy at bucket level, and then also at the file level. So let's say we have a website bucket. We want to upload our file, static files, and the images, CSS file, everything. So we can control the policy, right? So as of now, we don't have anything here. So this is the objects. All of your objects will be stored here, and then they will be listed here. And then for metadata, like you want additional configuration, it will be here. And then for properties, so what kind of properties we have enabled or disabled. For example, bucket versioning is currently disabled, we will be able to see here. And then user defined tags, we created this one, so it's listed here. Encryption, and then server access logging, event notification, we will come here and do some configuration here. I will show you. And then what else we have static website hosting. So this is basically when you want to enable web hosting, right? So you want to act your bucket like a website, right? So it will have some additional feature, right? We will come back here, definitely. This is one of the important things. And and for permission, so you can see here, so we blocked all public access, so this is listed here. And bucket policy, currently we don't have anything. And then for ACL, and then cross origin resource sharing policy, right? We will come here again. All right, so for metrics, not much here. And for a lifecycle rule, we will also talk about this lifecycle rule. And then for access point, well, this is pretty advanced, we will not touch it, but I will explain if I remember. All right, so let's go ahead and see in the objects tab first, because this is where we can upload files and then manage whatever type of files we want. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna upload a file here. Okay, so here in this section I'm gonna be, you can add folder or you can add files, and inside of this I have S3 tutorials, and then I have one index.html file and an image file called quiz. So I'm going to be selecting these two, and later on we will also be using these as website files. All right, so I'm just going to upload it, and look at this. So we have successfully uploaded, and so here we have now two objects, right? So we have two objects. For example, you can go and then it's open individual, copy URL, whatever you want. So for example, let's say now I want to select this one. You can go select, or you can copy and paste, copy and open from outside. And then if you go copy S3 URI, and okay, no, it doesn't work. So it has to be this, sorry, object URL. And if you click on this and open and look at this, right? So this is pretty important to understand why we cannot access this, right? Because we uploaded, even I cannot access. I uploaded and I cannot access. So this is because as of now, if you go to permission and then bucket policy, this is empty, right? That means we don't have any policy defined, and we have to define the bucket policy, right? So I have to say, okay, please allow someone else to read this or access this so that they can see this, right? This is pretty important. So you have to keep in mind that bucket policy has to be specified. All right, well, let me go back. I'll close this, and if I go in objects quiz, and here if I do this open, right, so you can see here it has quiz.png, and then if I open it, boom. So but here I can see this image. Why? Because when I click on this open, it creates something known as pre-signed URL, and this is extremely important. So this is specifically used when you want to share private file. For example, let's say it does not have quiz.png alone. It also has this long encrypted URL, and this is called pre-signed URL. So that means, if you copy this and even if you go in incognito and then open it, it will be accessible because of this pre-signed URL. So it's like, granting something but in encrypted form. So that's really important to understand, right? So but we never want to just we don't always want to pre-sign URL and make it available for everyone. That is going to be cumbersome, right? So we can control this policy with the help of bucket policy, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and then in permission and then bucket policy. So I'm just going to edit this bucket policy. Just go here and then write the policy. So for this policy, this is a simple JSON document, and so I'm just gonna copy and paste, and then here instead of this bucket name, I can copy this ARN or just replace the bucket name, and then so 1011. So what does that mean? I'm allowing everyone to get object. That means read object on this ARN resource. That means on this bucket, allow everyone to read so that they don't need to access this file or whatever inside of this bucket with pre-signed URL, right? So I'm gonna be all right, so I was creating this, but I got an error here. So that means, it contradicted with what I had already said. For example, here I said block all public access, but here I'm saying allowing. So I'm just going to turn it off, save changes, and then confirm. Okay, and there we go. And now if I add or save changes, it's going to work. So that means we have added our bucket policy. All right, And here, if I go to objects, and then let's say this quiz.png or whatever it is, I can open. Definitely it's correct. But if I do object URL, now I can also access this, right? Because now this has been allowed to public to read. Okay, so even if I go to incognito, because of that bucket policy, now I can read, right? Because we only granted a read policy for that bucket, right? So all right, so here in the policy, okay, in the policy properties, in permission, sorry, and there we go. So it's only get object, right? So this is how we configure bucket access, right? So for this one, and so now like we can also do something like whenever something happens on our bucket, for example when user uploads bucket, we want to trigger some event, and then that event can be uh, consumed or processed by some other services like SQS, right? So I wanted to give you a quick walkthrough on this one. So for example, if I go here, um, in properties, it should be properties or somewhere, I'm not exactly sure. And look at this. So here, this event notification. So in this event notification, so I can send a notification when some specific event occurs in our bucket, right? So for example, when someone uploaded, someone deleted, and you want to send some events, right? This is pretty real-time scenario. For example, someone uploaded the image, and then you want to send it to SQS or Amazon Lambda service, and then it will do some processing. All right. So what I'm gonna say is upload image and then event, upload event image event, and then prefix I'm gonna be leaving empty. And then here, so what is the event type? So for example, when someone post, right? That's fine. If you want for all object create events, you can select this. And then for removal as well, you can select these, right? It depends on what you want. All right, so I'm just gonna do this. And then here, so I'm going to be choosing SQS. So you don't need to worry about SQS. We will talk about this function later. But I've already created in SQS here. So SQS, and then if you go here, so I've created a queue. So it's just like a queue service, simple queuing service that's usually for putting some data, and then the consumer can consume from it. Okay, so don't worry about it. So I will just show you how does this work, right? So when I upload image here, it will be basically be delivered to that queue. All right, so SQS, and I'm going to be choosing because I have created one demo, and then save change. All right, so yes, so what we have to do here is tell SQS that okay, please allow certain S3 to publish event to this SQS. Okay, so what I'm going to do is queues policy here. I'm going to edit this, and what I'm going to do here is this test bucket. Okay, so what is the bucket name? I'm gonna just copy it. So right, and then what I'm now saying is allow this S3 to take some action or do some action, right? So save, and then if I save the changes, now it's successfully done. And then to demonstrate this, what I can do is I can go to objects, and then I will delete this quiz.png. So for example, if I now send and receive, and then poll for image, the poll for image is consuming if there has been any event. Right, so I think these were the previous ones. I'm not sure, but I will delete them. Okay, delete. All right, so we are getting some more. I will wait till it's done. I'll be deleting this. All right, so now this doesn't have any message. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete this, just permanently delete, and delete objects. So it has now been deleted successfully. And then I'm gonna upload the same file. So upload, and then file, and this quiz.png, right? So I delete it, and then I also upload it. So it should trigger some events there. Okay, so now I have, and so if I refresh it, I know we don't need to refresh, but we can pull from message. um Let me see, I'm stop polling, and there we go. So here, if you see, this says object put. Okay, and this means this message was triggered by this S3. And yeah, and then you can see this bucket name, right? So this bucket name, this ensures that in fact this S3 event was able to be delivered on SQS, and then you can process for it, right? So basically when you poll, you process the message, right? So that was it for this event, publication, creating events from S3. And then you can also route it to Lambda or SNS topic, but that would be too advanced for now. All right, so let's go ahead and do something interesting. All right, so now we are going to do the most interesting part, which is enabling this as a static website, right? So I have an index.html, and then I'm going to be enabling that as a static website, right? So how can you do that? All right, so I can go here and then definitely access this, right? So don't worry about that. But now we are giving this index.html, right? So but with static web hosting, we can serve index.html directly, so it gives us like extra capabilities. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is to go to my bucket, and then properties. It should be in properties, and for these properties and the static website hosting, just click on edit, and then enable host a static website. And then what is the index document? That means when you hit this URL, what file you want to serve. For example, you can do myfile.html, right? So but the most common convention is index.html, because we have index.html file. And if you have error file, so for example error.html or whatever it is, and then you can also define some redirection rules, right, which you cannot do with just mere um, static file, right? So that's the advantage of using enable static web hosting, right? So I'm just gonna save the changes. And if you go here at the end, and if you right click, and then look at this. So don't worry about this, I will show you that one later. But now we have been able to access the website. And if you look, it's a simple HTML file, right? So what it says is, it references quiz.png file, and it does this part. So don't worry about this, I'll show you later. So that means right now, if you ignore this part, this is fine. This is intentional for now. This image is being loaded, and then if you go here quiz.png, it will be accessible. So that means our website is hosted, right? So we have successfully hosted a static website on Amazon S3. We have a couple of things to do, like more advanced stuff, but we have successfully done that, right? So we have now extra capabilities. All right, so now, so what I'm gonna show you is why we are getting this issue, right? So this says course error. All right, so I'm gonna be right clicking here and inspect, and then in the console, if you read this error message carefully, it says access to page my bucket 101. All right, so okay, so that makes sense. Here, so I was using the previous code, but if you go here, this is not no longer available. I have to use my this image. Just copy this and here, okay, because that's no longer accessible, and I'll be uploading this again. So upload index.html. I'm gonna be uploading index.html. Upload it, right? Okay, perfect. And if I go here, course error, http 101 something from origin has been blocked. Okay, all right. So now what it's saying is, if you open this with a live server, open with live server, I'm going to be showing you here, right here, and then open browser. So now what it's saying is I'm accessing this from localhost 3000, but the server is somewhere else, right? So that means this 3000 has not been recognized, right? So I have to talk about course cross origin resource policy, right? That means I'm on the local host or one origin, but my website is on another origin, and by default it cannot trust and it blocks the access, right? So I have to say, well, please recognize this site or whatever it is, like localhost 3000 for example, and I'm intentionally requesting it so that this site recognizes that request and will be processed or will not be blocked. All right, so I'm just gonna do a quick copy paste, and here, so for cross origin resource policy, it should be somewhere in properties or no, in permission. And here, so if you go here, cross origin resource sharing, edit, and then paste it. So this is pretty simple. This is okay, allow gate on this origin, right? So it will access, and then if you want, just copy and paste these things or type it on your one and change. And look at this. So if I go here, now look at this, right? So that means now we should have two images. Okay, this is the first and this is the second, and it says course okay, status okay, right? So of course this is not going to be working because I forgot to actually use this website, right? I could have done that as well. So here maybe it's not going to work because this is still not recognizing. But if you go here and then add here, okay, and then here this one, save the changes, and it should work. And now it does, right? Because we added two, localhost as well as this site, for mm, to mitigate cross origin resource error, right? So yeah, that was pretty much it for this website hosting. So I'll be talking about a few more concepts that we have to know and a little bit advanced one. So if you are interested, let's go ahead and learn those. All right, guys. So now what I'm talking about is lifecycle rules, right? So basically, like AWS S3 has a lot of different storage types, right? And they have some different purposes. For example, infrequent access, you have frequent access, like a glacier and so on. So if you upload your image and your application is expected to have that images available instantly for a certain amount of time, but after that you don't care, as long as you can retrieve after, let's say, few hours, few minutes, or few days, right? So based on those things, you can create a lifecycle rule. So for example, if you go to permission tab, and I hope it's here, I'm not sure. Okay, it is not here. So lifecycle, if you go to management tab, here is a lifecycle configuration. So basically you want to move from one type of storage to another type, and then it runs once per day. So every single day the Amazon will be running here, and then will automatically be converting from one to another if that's applicable, right? So you can go here or here and create life cycle. So you can say whatever you want, move to cheap storage or something like that, you can say. And then, for prefix, if you want prefix, you want to prefix something like doc slash, that's fine, it's up to you. And then you can also minimum size and maximum size, you can specify this, right? You don't want this lifecycle rule to be valid. Let's say you don't want to worry about moving 1 KB file from one storage to another, right? So if you want, let's say 200 KB, for example, you can do that, but we are not going to do that here. And then transition, these lifecycle rule actions, we have these lifecycle rule actions, and choose the actions that you want this rule to perform. So what are we supposed to do? All right, so we have like a lot of things, right? So transition current version of objects between storage classes, right? So we are going to be like moving from one storage class to another, right? But you can also do this one and then this one. So you can explore all of these. So from one class to another, I'll be demoing that. And so, and it says by default, object less than 120 KB will not transition across any class, right? So that means you have to keep that in mind. The file has to be at least greater than 128 kilobyte. Okay, so here we have a standard IA, and then you can read about a standard IA. So when you want to go to a standard IA, right? So basically, if we have infrequently accessed data. So IA means infrequent access, once a month with per millisecond access when we need it. Okay. And then when do we want these storage to be applicable for our bucket files or media files, whatever? So after 30 days, right? After 30 days, what I want is I want AWS S3 to move to standard IA, right? So it will be like infrequent access because my file will not be accessible after, I mean, will not be accessed frequently after 30 days. So I want just to store here so that I can avoid some cost. And I can add one more transition. Um, Glacier Deep Archive, that means long live archive data access less than once a year with retrieval of hours, right? So retrieval, it takes a long time to retrieve, and 180 days minimum storage duration. So you can only move it here after this. Okay, so you can configure like this, and you can even more add more. So definitely no, you cannot, maybe because we chose this one, but if you were to choose something other, maybe you will be able to just, you can experiment with this. And you can see a quick summary. For example, day 0 objects uploaded, after 30 days it's going to be moved to standard IA, and after 80 days, 180 days, it is going to be moving to Glacier Deep Archive, right? So just create rule. Um okay, oh, we need prefix. All right, so let's say archived and then slash, and we created a rule, right? So I'm not exactly sure whether we can exactly show this, because this is only possible after 30 days. So I'm probably not gonna show this as a demo. I'm really not sure if I can do that or not, right? So I have to look at that. Maybe we have some workaround. But yeah, that was it for these life cycle configuration. So this is a little bit advanced, but it's really useful, specifically in production setting, right? But in production application, we cannot just delete media after certain days, so we are going to be using this life cycle rule. All right, everyone, so and I want to show one more topic. So, and the last one, the bucket versioning. So bucket versioning is like making files, the same file with multiple version, right? So you delete, so it becomes easier for you to manage and then restore files, for example, right? So let me go ahead and edit, and we will see how to use this. So you can read about this. Versioning is a means of keeping multiple variants of object in the same bucket, right? The same object, it's going to be multiple. And all right, so in here, and if I delete, I'm not sure if I upload this one more file, the same file, quiz, and upload it and close it. And here, so if I show version, look at this now, I have this quiz, right, with marker. And if you can go here, show version, so these two files are the current one, but we have certain version enabled, and this file was version enabled. And if I delete this and I just copy and paste this, and so close it, look at this, and here I deleted that one. So maybe if I delete this, because I deleted the version one, not this one, permanently deleted. And okay, so that's not available. And if I upload, oh sorry, add file, quiz.png, and upload it, close it, and look at this. So now this has this version. All right, so I'm exactly not sure how to preserve when we delete it. Maybe there is some setting for like versioning, but this gives you a quick glance of what versioning does, right? All right guys, so that was it for this tutorial. It was a pretty long tutorial, but I showed every single option and configuration I can think of, and you can try on your one. And if you find this tutorial helpful, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any question, please write down in the comment section, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.